Charting Toward Intimacy covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised.
Confused about what's morally okay when it comes to female orgasm? You are not alone, and today we are going to clean up all of that confusion. You'll learn exactly when and how female orgasm fits into Catholic teaching, what the moral boundaries are around female orgasm, and why it's actually an incredibly important part of the entire sexual act. Welcome to Charting Toward Intimacy, the podcast for Catholic women that helps you improve your sex life, strengthen your marriage, and embrace God's design for love. My name is Ellen Holloway. Let's get into it.
All right, today we are going to dive into what is okay with female orgasms. I get this question a lot, and I kind of realized that we had covered it a lot in various different episodes, but there wasn't one clear, concise episode that was just like, what is okay and not okay, morally speaking, with female orgasms. Okay, so first of all, let's just clarify something so important. The female orgasm is equally as important as the male orgasm. And it's good. It's good that it exists. And it is something that we should strive for. Absolutely. It is part of the design of sex. It is a very good thing. God created this pleasure. Women have the clitoris, which is, it only serves one function, which is sexual pleasure. Like the clitoris's function is to orgasm and create that pleasure during sex. Men actually don't have an organ that only does one thing. Like women are pretty individual in that. The male organ that is responsible for sexual pleasure is the penis, and it has 3 other functions. So the female orgasm is disconnected from the procreative possibility, whereas the male orgasm is actually connected to the procreative possibility, right? So male, and this is the case for 99.9% of men. Of course, there are outliers out there, but I'm talking about the vast, vast majority here. The male orgasm is connected to ejaculation. Like they happen simultaneously, right? So there can't be the procreative possibility without the male orgasm. That's different for the women. It is possible to have a procreative act without the female orgasm. Now, I'm not saying that's a great thing. I'm saying that it's possible for those things to happen because they are separate. So the procreative possibility that needs to be present in the sexual act for the woman is that her vagina needs to accept the semen, right? So the man's penis needs to go inside of the vagina. He needs to ejaculate there, and her vagina then accepts the semen. It then moves up into the uterus, et cetera, et cetera. This is not a biology class. We're talking morals here. All right. So that's what needs to be present. That's why we can't use condoms, right? That blocks them, and that kind of thing. That's why we can't do the pull-out method because it's not allowing for that procreative possibility. Now, the female orgasm, though, it is a separate function. It doesn't have to happen for that procreative possibility to be present. And what that actually teaches us, and I go into this a lot more in depth in my orgasm course for Catholic women. So if you're interested in this topic, if you struggle with orgasm, that course is absolutely for you. I really highly, highly recommend it. What that teaches us is that orgasm is super important. If orgasm happened in the same way for both the male and the woman, it would actually be very easy for it to kind of go to the wayside and not be thought about. If that pleasure was present in the same way, in that the procreative possibility also had the pleasure, connected with the two. And the reason why it would likely kind of go away and not be as important is because that procreative possibility is extremely obvious, right? It creates a baby, which takes a lot of effort and mental space. And so the fact that they're separated in one person, separated in the woman, and together in the man, that shows us how important orgasm is, because God is saying in the male body, look, orgasm and procreation, like they go together. And in the female body, he's saying, look, they're separate things that both require their own intentionality. So he's saying, hey, it's really important that these things happen. And it's really important that we give them each their own intentional, space. That we put intention toward that sexual pleasure. That sexual pleasure is an important part of the act. Okay, so now that we understand that, let's talk about just some basic morality here. Because the female orgasm is not inherently connected to the procreative part of sex, the female orgasm can actually happen at any point within the full sexual act. That full sexual act is foreplay, intercourse, and optional afterplay. So the female orgasm can happen before intercourse happens, it can happen during intercourse, or it can happen immediately after intercourse in what I like to call optional afterplay. And I really want to encourage you that if an orgasm isn't happening for you, right? Like if you're really trying for orgasm during intercourse at the same time and it doesn't happen for you, then do that afterplay and work toward that orgasm, because the orgasm is so good and such a wonderful part of sex. But it can happen anywhere within those bounds. Now, it cannot happen outside of one full sexual act. And that is because sexual arousal is designed for preparing the body to have intercourse. So if we look at the man's body, sexual arousal brings his penis to an erect state. It makes it possible for his body to have intercourse. His body cannot have intercourse unless his penis is in an erect state. What sexual arousal does for the woman is that it allows the vaginal canal to lengthen, the vaginal opening widens, and the cervix actually moves up slightly. And so this actually prepares the woman's body for intercourse, making it more comfortable and increasing the possibility for pleasure. This is why foreplay is absolutely necessary for sex, not just a bonus add-on, because the woman's body needs to get to a point where it's actually prepared to have sex. The vaginal canal needs to lengthen. The vaginal opening needs to widen so that sex is comfortable and has the possibility of being pleasurable. All right. So the female orgasm can happen anywhere within the full sexual act. So it can happen during foreplay, it can happen during intercourse, it can happen during optional afterplay. Now, what wouldn't be permissible is if you finish intercourse and, both of you go and shower, and then we're talking maybe an hour later or something like that. You're like, oh, I didn't actually get an orgasm. Can you stimulate me to orgasm? Now we've really ended the sexual act, and this is beginning a new one. Now, if you guys are prepared and interested in seeking out intercourse again, then you could begin a new sexual act and say bring her to orgasm during foreplay and then culminate in intercourse. Really what we're talking about here is that the orgasm is something that needs to be sought within the context of the marital act. And it is not permissible to seek the orgasm from either side, outside of or apart from the marital act. So that's things like masturbation, mutual stimulation, mutual stimulation that's not ordered toward intercourse. Stimulation is fully permissible within foreplay. And there's actually a podcast episode from several months ago that's called, what does the church teach about foreplay? So go check that one out if you have questions about what's allowed during foreplay and not. All right. Now, the other question that I get about orgasms for women is it okay to have multiple? Should I always have multiple? What is the whole thing with women and multiple orgasms? So some women have the ability to have multiple orgasms.
some women don't really have that ability or don't desire that ability. The reason why this exists and why this is different from men is that the woman's body actually has a shorter cool down period. So the man's body, what's average is there's like a cool down period of several hours. So it's actually not possible for his body, his penis, to get erect again for several hours after he has orgasmed. That's not the case for women. For some women, it is as short as several seconds. It might be several minutes. And so in that way, a woman can experience multiple orgasms during one marital act, and that's fully permissible. So a woman could experience an orgasm during foreplay and then experience another one during intercourse and even experience another one during afterplay if that was desired by both spouses. So there's a lot of confusion about the female orgasm, and part of that stems from sometimes it's a little harder to have the female orgasm. It doesn't happen as naturally during sex as the male orgasm because the male orgasm has that inherent connection. But really, what we need to understand and just remember is that sexual pleasure and sexual arousal is ordered toward the marital act, which is unitive and procreative. There is an inseparability between the unitive meaning and the procreative meaning of sex. And so, understanding that, we can then very easily understand where the female orgasm then fits in. Because if we understand that sexual pleasure and sexual arousal are ordered toward that unitive and procreative event, then we can understand that the female orgasm needs to happen within that event. Now, where the confusion can be is that sometimes people think that the event is only intercourse. But as I explained just a few minutes ago, it is necessary to prepare your body for intercourse. So foreplay is a necessary part of the sexual act. And so the female orgasm can absolutely happen during foreplay as long as that truly is foreplay leading toward intercourse. And then if the orgasm doesn't happen and it is sought after by the woman, then it's fully permissible immediately after intercourse to seek out that orgasm. And you know, the man could manually stimulate the woman. He could orally stimulate the woman, you know, something along those lines. And this actually is a justice issue. So Carol Wojtyła in Love and Responsibility talks about how if the man is receiving an orgasm and the woman isn't, it's a matter of justice. And in the sexual act, it is a gift of self. And so we are each giving of ourselves to the other and working toward, you know, the enjoyment and unity of the other. So husbands, you are called to seek your wife's good. And that includes sexual pleasure. And women, I really want to encourage you to just embrace your capacity for pleasure as part of that marital unity. The sexual pleasure of an orgasm is not something shameful. It's not something sinful. Purity culture has really put a lot of lies in there. And then what I also want to finish off with is that, yes, orgasm is important. Orgasm is good. Sexual pleasure is good. But it's not sinful to fall short. If you haven't yet been able to experience an orgasm, it's okay. But I really want to encourage you to keep working toward it. So I want you to check out the Orgasm course for Catholic women. The link is going to be in the show notes. It is so good. And there's nothing wrong with you if you are not yet orgasming regularly, because no one actually taught you how. And that's exactly what the Orgasm course is. So I really want you to check it out. And I promise you will learn so much from that course.
Thanks so much for listening. If you're ready to stop feeling confused or discouraged about sex and finally understand how God designed your body for real, beautiful pleasure, you need to check out the Orgasm course for Catholic women. I'll teach you the tools and the mindset you need to experience the intimacy you were made for, all deeply rooted in Catholic Church teaching. Head over to vinesinfullbloom.com/orgasm, and I'll see you inside.